this week a customer of mine asked me if I could make a purple leopard print cake topper, and for a minute I sat there and thought, where on earth am I going to get purple leopard print paper from? But after a while of racking my brains and thinking about it, I decided that it would be possible for me to make my own leopard print paper. And in today's video I'm going to share with you how you can do the same. It doesn't have to be leopard print, it can be any pattern, anything that you like, and in any colour. So let's jump straight into the video and see how to do it. Here we are then in Cricut Design Space with a brand new blank canvas to get us started. So the first thing that we want to do is just decide on what kind of pattern we're going to use. For this one I'm going to show you a leopard print. So I'm going to go over to images on the left hand side and I'm just going to type in leopard print. It's going to bring me up several different options, so there's lots of different ones depending on what you fancy. For this method to work really well, it's a good idea just to go with a single colour one, so something that is basically monochrome, black and white. These ones are a little bit more dense. You've got one that's a bit more spread out, and then this one has the bigger splodges here. I'm going to choose this one here by Angie Vasquez, and then what I'm going to do is add that to the canvas. And then that gives us this big block of black and white leopard print, which is exactly what we need to get started. So first of all, I'm going to change the colour of my leopard print to be the purple that I like for my paper. Then what I'm going to do is just come over to the shapes menu and I'm just going to grab myself a basic square. I'm then going to click on arrange and send that to the back. You can also do that by pressing shift command and bracket. If you pull that up then to the top and then unlock your padlock here for the sizing proportions, you'll just want to drag that square out so that it fits to cover up that whole section of leopard print. Then what you'll want to do is change the colour of that square to be the second colour for your leopard print. So with mine, what I did was chose just a paler purple, so it's more of a contrast for those two colours. Just so that it's more of a contrast for those two colours. The next step then is to decide whether you're going to use this as a full sheet of printed paper or whether you're going to make your cake topper or your design or whatever and cut that out as a print then cut. Next we need to do the resizing, because we do still have this warning triangle at the top here, and that is showing us that at the moment the maximum size that we can do with this particular design is 18.31 centimetres by 18.73 centimetres. So of course that's not going to be a full sheet of paper. So what we can do is either change our page size, we could auto resize it, or we could do it ourselves. So we're going to do it ourselves. So if we come over here, what we want to do is make this more of an oblong shape rather than it being square, because obviously I'm using a A4 sheet of paper. So I'm just going to leave my width at 22. I'm going to unlock this padlock and I'm going to make my length 17. I'm going to see if it'll allow that. Let's have a quick look. Let's rotate that 90 degrees and see what that says now. So 21.45 by 16. So let's just auto resize that, and that's going to give me a longer stretch for that. So if I go through to make it, I'm going to be able to see that is more or less a full sheet there. That's as big as it's going to get, unfortunately. We can't get it any longer, which is a shame because we've still got all this space at the top. I really don't understand why Cricut cannot do print then cut so that it makes a full sheet of anything. But this is pretty good and it's going to be useful for us when we come to do our personalised designs. So when I do my printing for this, the paper that I use is glossy photo paper, so it comes out really nice and a good quality print. I do have an Epson Eco Tank printer, which is what I use for this. It's not an expensive one, it's just the 2711 one. It's a pretty old printer now, but it does print really well. So when you go through to continue, what you're going to want to do is send it to printer. So once you've come through to your print, what you'll need to do is make sure that you select the correct printer. I've got several different ones that I use, so I need to make sure I select my Epson Eco Tank printer. And then what I'll do is I'll leave the bleed on. It doesn't really matter too much because obviously we're not going to be cutting anything out from this sheet. And then I'm going to toggle the Use System dialog, and that is going to allow me then to print. And it's going to bring up my system dialog box, which is basically the advanced settings for my printer. So this is the box that I'm going to see. Now sometimes you may find that your print dialog box doesn't actually come up straight away, and it may be hidden behind your design space screen. So if it doesn't appear and you just get that circle whirring in the center like it was just, if you just pull your screen down, you should be able to find that just there for you. So then what you'll need to do is change your settings. Now obviously all the settings are going to be different on my printer to what they're going to be on your printer depending on what you're using, but what I like to do is I just come into my print settings and I change my media type from plain paper to ultra glossy, and with my printer it automatically changes the print quality to high. You can change it to best, but I've found personally that doesn't actually make much difference to me. So at this point in time it's up to you to sort of try your print settings and find out which ones work for you and which ones you think are going to be the best for your printing. Once you've changed all your settings, if you just click on print and your printer will print out this full sheet, then you can either cut it out with scissors, you can use a guillotine, or you can even, if you wanted to, get the Cricut to cut out the square for you, depending on how much time you've got spare. But that is basically a full sheet there of leopard print paper ready to go that you could keep in your stash for the next time, or if you've got a project in mind currently, you can get on with it now. I'm just going to cancel this and go back to the start. I'm going to unflatten just by selecting my square and coming down the bottom here to unflatten. That's now going to turn that back into 2 layers the way it was when we first started. So again, now we've got the square and then the leopard print as 2 separate entities. If I just click on that, I can pull it away. What I'm going to do now then is do it so that my name for my cake topper and my number are as we want them to be with the leopard print. So if we come over here now to text, we're going to select our text and I'm going to just write Shelby. And then I'm going to change my font on that to one called Hey Butterfly, which I have been loving lately. I'm just going to bring it down to the bottom and I'm going to just zoom that out a touch. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to add a small offset to it of 0.12 centimeters just to make it a little bit thicker. We can bring the offset up and delete the original text. Here's the one that we're going to use, so what we're going to do is just make that smaller. Let's make it the size that I would for a normal name cake topper, which is about 14 centimeters across. Then what you'll need to do is select each item separately, because with slice, which is what we're going to use next, you can only slice 2 layers at a time, and we have 3 on the screen currently. So the easiest way to do this is make sure you've got your name selected and then just press shift and click on your first layer. Come down to the bottom, click on slice. Eventually it'll do it. It does take a while. Okay. Now we want to again click on that top layer for our Shelby name, and then we want to select just the square. So we now have the name and the square selected, and click on slice again. Once all your different slice results have appeared in the layers panel on the right hand side, it's time to start getting rid of all the bits that we don't need anymore. So you can just pull each layer apart and just double check which ones you want and which ones you don't. So if we just click on the square, we can pull that over, we can pull over the leopard print, get rid of that. So we can actually just hide those two because we might want to use them again if we want to make anything else. Then we've got the black ones. Let's pull those away and delete them. That is one layer that we do need because it's purple. Then another black layer, which again we don't need, and then we've got this darker purple. Now these are the 2 layers that we want to be left with on the screen. They are print then cut, as you can see, and what we're going to do now is just align everything so that when we print it out there's no white spaces in it. So all you need to do is either select both of those by just dragging over, or you can come up to the top and click on select all if those are the only 2 things that you've got on your screen at the time. Then what we want to do is come over to align here. Now the first thing that we want to do is align everything to the bottom, and then they're going to look a bit like that. They're totally off center and not quite right. If I zoom back in, this might help us to see a little bit better. So as you can see, they're not lined up, but that doesn't matter, it's going to be fine. Again, just select everything, and then you want to click on either align left or align right. So I've aligned it to the left, and everything now is all aligned correctly. There shouldn't be any spaces in between those two different layers. You can see very, very slight white, but when you print that out, you're not going to see that at all. So now what we want to do is just, again, select both of those items, and we want to click on flatten. That has now turned our 2 layers of leopard print in the different colours into one layer and made it into a print then cut. So if I now go through to make it, I'm going to get my Shelby on there that I can do, and I can cut that out perfectly. It's going to print, and then it's going to cut exactly how I want it to be. Of course, if you've already printed a full sheet, all you're going to want to do is just create the name like you would if you were cutting out vinyl or cardstock normally, and just cut that out from your sheet on your mat as normal. There's no print then cut required for that at all. Let's do another different one, and I'll show you again with a different pattern what else you can achieve. Another popular pattern that is really great, and we get asked a lot for at Christmas time, is like a Scottish check or a plaid. So let's type in plaid in our search box in the images. Now for this one, I would recommend going for something that's got quite a small design on it. So when I say small design, I mean that the plaid is quite close together rather than the bigger ones like this one here. I think that one's going to be a little bit too wide for it. Let's click on this one here. We'll put all of the codes for these images down below for you in the description and on the bottom of the screen, so you can always pause the video and pop those down on your pad if you want to. So here's the plaid that we're going to use today. I'm going to make it red, and then I'm going to again get my square, just a basic square. Let's send it to the back again and unlock that padlock. I'm going to just stretch that out. There we go. That is that. Let's choose another colour for it. What goes with this red? Probably green, I would have thought. Looks very Christmassy, doesn't it? So again, if you wanted to, just select everything and flatten it, make it into a full sheet of print then cut. Or again, you can cut out from it. So let's make a topper out of this as well. Let's make a happy Christmas. I know I'm a bit early, it is July. Might actually be August by the time you see this actually, but let's give it a small offset again, 0.12. Like that. Let's get rid of this. There's our happy Christmas. Let's just slice these. So we want to again select the top, happy Christmas, and the plaid. Click on slice. And then again, click on the black offset and then on the green square and slice. There we go. Let's get rid of those. I don't think we're going to use the bread for anything else. Again, let's get rid of those. And there is our plaid. So it looks perfect. So the reason that I said to choose a smaller check for this particular design is that if it was bigger, because we're using it on a text, you're not going to actually see the design on it. It's going to be too big for it. So let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm just going to flatten those to make that into one. Let's put that over to this side. Let's get that bigger plaid on the screen. And we're going to do it exactly the same size so it's a real fair comparison. So let's just add that to the canvas. Grab that shape again. And send that to the back. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. Let's just send it to the back and then drag that out again. And let's turn that into a green. And let's make the top one, let's make it red, sort of orangey red. That's kind of cool. Let's get the text back again. And we're going to use exactly the same text because that makes it really fair as well. Let's give that the offset again, 0.12. I always offset my text if it's a thinner one and I'm doing something similar to this, just to make it look a little bit more substantial. Let's pop that on there. Again, select that layer and do the slice. And again, let's select the black and then click on the green and slice. Let's get rid of all of these things. Just want to get rid of that black, don't we? Okay. Let's do the aligning. Because I moved it slightly, I just need to realign it. There we go. That one's a little bit out on the alignment, but that doesn't matter because we can always change that. But can you see how the difference is with those two? Because this is the smaller plaid that we chose first, and then this is the bigger one. So it really doesn't show that it's got a plaid pattern to it at all. It just looks like it's got some random stripes and squares on it, which I don't really think is a good look for a plaid. So when you're doing it, make sure you've got a smaller design like this one. So that's how you can make your own patterned papers. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you found it to be useful. If you have, I'd love to see you again for another one. So don't forget to subscribe, drop me any questions or comments that you've got down below, and I will always try to answer you where I can. Have a fab week, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon for the next one. Bye!